Welcome to Panda Tale. I hope you have a great time listening to the story. If you enjoy it, don't forget to give me a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Sister, I am father's illegitimate daughter. I have nothing at all, yet Crown Prince Inash has fallen in love with me. He even doesn't hesitate to break his engagement with you and force Mother to accept me as the young lady of Sterling Royal Manor. Mother couldn't bear the humiliation and knelt, hitting her head on the steps of Phoenix Palace until blood streamed everywhere. That night, sister, you jumped into the pond and committed suicide. Later, when Crown Prince William ascended to the throne as emperor, he had gone blind with love and killed me, burning Mother alive. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the moment when Crown Prince William knelt before the emperor, begging to marry my sister. I pushed her forward with utmost sincerity. If Your Highness Crown Prince William and sister truly love each other, why doesn't Your Majesty fulfill their wishes? I want to see if, without me in this life, they can live happily together. I wish everyone an enjoyable listening experience. 1 month after Emperor William Nash ascended the throne, he used the excuse that Princess Catherine had harmed the imperial son and collaborated with enemies to betray the country. He arrested over 1,000 people from Sterling Royal Manor and threw them into the heavenly prison. I was tortured by him, bones broken, flesh carved, eyes gouged out, then thrown like a torn rag before the gates of Sterling Royal Manor. He tied Mother to a red, hot bronze pillar and set fire to Sterling Royal Manor. The heat rolled along the bronze pillar, burning Mother's back. I opened my empty eye sockets to see Mother's blood mixing with tears, flowing in 2 streams. William grabbed my hair. Do you know why I left your tongue? Of course, so you can scream loudly for your evil mother to hear. Maybe if you scream to please me, I'll spare your mother. I had once asked him why he treated me this way. He said, if not for you and your evil mother, why would Grace have to die? If she killed my Grace, of course I must let her taste the pain of losing her most beloved. All these years, he had been patient and cultivating. He used our marriage to gradually encroach upon Mother's power in court, all to avenge Grace. But what did Grace's death have to do with us? It was his own father, former Emperor Marcus, who personally ordered the secret guards to deal with her. They fabricated the scene of her jumping into the pond and committing suicide, simply because she was the daughter of a concubine. Marrying her would mean he couldn't utilize Mother's power. I had explained this to him, but he still didn't believe me. William, like an evil spirit, stabbed a knife into my belly. The pain tore through my sanity as I tasted the metallic flavor spreading in my mouth. Scream. Why aren't you screaming? I will never scream. If I scream, Mother will be heartbroken. He pushed the knife deeper, twisting the handle inside. Though my clothes were already filthy beyond endurance, they were stained with fresh red blood. Mother stared with eyes nearly bursting. It's all my fault. Whatever you want, just target me. Let Evelyn go. Did you ever spare Grace? He looked at Mother with hatred, chopping off my arm with 1 strike, then another strike severing my legs. This strike is because you abused your power to kill Grace. This strike is to offer sacrifice to Grace's spirit in heaven. This final strike. William stabbed the knife into my chest. He raised high and threw my heart before Mother's face. Amidst the sea of fire reaching the sky, Mother cried until her voice was hoarse and she was exhausted, looking like she had gone mad. As consciousness gradually faded, Mother, don't cry. If there's a next life, When I opened my eyes, I was standing in Phoenix Palace. William was kneeling before Emperor Marcus and Empress Victoria. Each word forceful like steel, begging to marry Grace Sterling, the illegitimate daughter of my father, as his consort. Everything began with him. If he wanted to be with Grace, I would fulfill this destiny. I wanted to see how, without Mother's power, he could possibly sit on the throne of ultimate honor. I suddenly pushed Grace forward with utmost sincerity. If Your Highness Crown Prince William and sister truly love each other, why doesn't Your Majesty fulfill their wishes? In the Great Hall, countless sounds of sharp intakes echoed in my ears. Even Crown Prince William, who was kneeling on the ground, looked at me in shock. Evelyn, are you mad? William spoke but suddenly stopped. I glanced at him calmly and said, people say better to be mandarin ducks than immortals. If Your Highness Crown Prince William already has someone in his heart, why should I forcibly divide others' destiny? I turned to Emperor Marcus and bowed. This subject humbly requests your majesty to issue a decree cancelling the engagement between this subject and your highness Crown Prince William. No, sister, are you serious? Two voices rang out simultaneously. The first was Grace Sterling's, full of panic. The second was William's, clearly showing joy. Grace ignored William's attempts to stop her and knelt before me, tears streaming. I humbly beg sister to take back what you just said. Sister is the eldest daughter of Sterling Royal Manor. Only sister and your highness Crown Prince William are a perfectly matched couple. His highness having feelings for Grace is Grace's blessing, but Grace knows her lowly status and wouldn't dare steal sister's engagement. Grace had always appeared weak and pitiful, but now with her tear-filled eyes, she looked even more touching yet strong. In my previous life, I hadn't interacted much with her, but I knew she was far from as simple as she appeared. This move of retreating one step to advance two had made William help her up without hesitation, his eyes full of emotion and heartache. Right now, no matter how lowly her status, she and Evelyn are both daughters of the Sterling family. There's no reason she should suffer outside while you live comfortably in the manor with the title of eldest daughter. Emperor Marcus's expression clearly showed he understood the deeper meaning when I proposed cancelling the engagement. However, William had been blinded by beauty and lost his reason. He immediately kowtowed 3 times, begging the emperor, "I humbly request Father to allow us to bring Grace back to the Sterling family to acknowledge her ancestry. In my previous life, when William demanded to break our engagement, I didn't agree." Empress Victoria, feeling sorry for her son, had personally requested the decree. This life, I proactively proposed it, and the one kneeling and begging was William himself. Emperor Marcus picked up the jade scepter and without a word, struck William's head directly. "I see you're truly bewitched by beauty and have lost your mind." The heavy jade scepter came down, blood flowing profusely on his forehead. Seeing her son suffer, Empress Victoria was both panicked and furious, hurriedly ordering someone to summon the imperial physician. "Your Majesty, we only have one son, Prince William. Since childhood, Prince William has been understanding and never asked for anything. Now his only wish is to marry the person he loves. Have you forgotten how we overcame so many difficulties to be together? If your Majesty doesn't agree, this subject will remove the phoenix crown and kneel here, without rising." Emperor Marcus had been on the throne for 18 years. Empress Victoria was someone he met when he was still crown prince during a tour of River Valley. Just an ordinary girl who washed clothes. The two fell in love at first sight and upon returning, he immediately married her as crown princess. After 2 years of marriage, Emperor Marcus had devoted himself wholeheartedly to her, never taking other consorts, becoming a story passed down through generations. But precisely because Empress Victoria only bore one child, William, she valued him more than anything. With the Empress's protection from childhood, William had become arrogant and domineering. Relying on his status as crown prince and having Empress Victoria behind him to clean up the consequences, he frequently oppressed common people, beat others, and caused trouble. There was no evil deed he wouldn't dare commit. However, in front of Mother and me, he was as docile as a little rabbit. I once thought his different treatment of us compared to outsiders was because he respected Mother as the most noble Princess Catherine of Avalon Empire, who had once used her own body to block arrows for Emperor Marcus. I was personally designated by the Emperor to be the crown princess, his future. I thought his obedience was out of respect for us. But only when I died did I understand that obedience was all fake. He hated Mother to the bone. Every time Mother achieved merit in court made Empress Victoria appear more useless in the eyes of the world. Every time I was praised by people highlighted his inadequacy even more. Grace was the only person he truly cared about. He didn't want to live his whole life in the shadow of Mother and me. So for the first time, he defied Emperor Marcus's will. However, after I married him, Mother and I wholeheartedly helped him, working hard in court for his sake, never once betraying or wronging him. Yet in the end, I found myself in a situation of family destruction. He was truly a white-eyed wolf that could never be tamed. While he was still bleeding, Mother coldly refused his request. Father knelt on the ground, promising to give Emperor Marcus and Empress Victoria a satisfactory explanation. Then without hesitation pulled Grace, who was still reluctant to leave, away with us. "It's all my fault. Everything is my fault. It's my fault for letting Grace be exposed to sunlight," causing Crown Prince William to fall for her. If she doesn't satisfy you, I'll have someone buy a house outside to support her there. Mother turned her head and without hesitation slapped father hard. Her anger turned into undisguisable pain. Henry Sterling, do you still remember what you said to me on our wedding night? When Sterling Royal Manor fell into decline, Mother married you. On our wedding night, you promised Mother that you would be faithful for life, that having her alone would be enough for this lifetime. But just 3 years after our marriage, you betrayed her and secretly supported your child with your childhood sweetheart for 15 years. It's my fault, but Grace is innocent. Grace followed behind him, tears falling drop by drop onto the greenstone floor. She choked up, Princess, please forgive Father. As long as you forgive Father, Grace is willing to leave forever and never appear before you again. After saying this, she turned to me again. Princess Evelyn, I will never again compete with you for Crown Prince William. I beg you, for the sake of our 18 years as father and daughter, please help me. It seemed as if these words could prove her yielding and sincerity, but her tactics of sowing discord were truly clumsy. I quickly helped Mother into the carriage before she could get angry. In the carriage, Mother was so angry she kept pounding the table, the sound echoing continuously. Even you want to speak for your father. Do you think Crown Prince William truly deserves to become the future son of heaven? Mother looked stunned for a long moment, then said coldly, what does that have to do with our father and daughter's betrayal? I shook my head and told Mother what had happened in my previous life. How Grace died, what William did to her, how he treated me, and how he killed Mother right before my eyes. Mother was stunned for a long time without speaking. After a period of silence, she tremblingly said, Evelyn, you've suffered so much. It's all Mother's fault for not protecting you in the previous life. I smiled softly, feeling a pang in my nose. Mother did everything she could. It was I who wasn't careful enough, who didn't see through his heart. The matter between Grace and William was all arranged by Father behind the scenes. That's enough to prove he's had ill intentions toward you for a long time. If they're already wolves in sheep's clothing, why not let Grace become the knife that stabs back at them? Mother declared that she had completely given up on Father and decided to hand over all household management to me. Father didn't dare raise any objections to Mother's words, only silently stopping me after dinner. Evelyn, Father has always known you're a sensible child. Grace is gentle and simple, without much cunning. Don't worry, she won't compete with you for anything. When she marries away, Father will be at peace. After 100 years, everything in Sterling Royal Manor will be yours. I laughed coldly in my heart. If she was really as Father described, how could she have wholeheartedly enticed Father to climb up to Crown Prince William? But since they were Father's words, how could a daughter like me not comply? That night, I ordered someone to prepare a small courtyard for Grace. The courtyard was located farthest from where I lived, originally used to store rare treasures, so it had been renovated to be extremely splendid and magnificent. Grace, why don't you quickly thank Sister? Father rarely praised Grace. Grace gently bowed to me, her eyelashes lowered just enough to hide the greed and jealousy in her eyes. Grace, thanks Sister for your generous acceptance. When Father finds a suitable place, I'll immediately move out and won't disturb Sister anymore. Father immediately darkened his face. What are you saying? Evelyn is your sister. How can you use the word disturb? The two were clearly performing, waiting for me to ask them to let her stay. In my previous life I had been soft-hearted, thinking that children shouldn't suffer for their parents' mistakes. But the premise of children shouldn't suffer is that benefits shouldn't be given to children either. Father had brought her here to provoke me right in front of my face, so how could I forgive her? I would never forgive anyone. I softened my voice. Mother's mood isn't good today. I hope Father will go comfort her. Leave the arrangements here to me. Father should go to Mother first. Father found it inconvenient to say more, only giving Grace a few instructions before reluctantly leaving. I also left, but several of my nannies stayed behind. When the nannies were arranging bedding, they kept exclaiming, "Oh my! This is the cloud brocade bedding that Your Majesty had transported thousands of miles from Ansha Kingdom to bestow upon Princess Evelyn when she came of age. If we accidentally damage this imperial gift, I'm afraid Lord Henry will inevitably be punished before Your Majesty." When preparing hot water for washing, The nannies exclaimed again, "Oh my, this wooden tub is made from 1,000-year-old sandalwood, precious beyond measure." That year, His Highness Crown Prince William personally went to River Valley to inspect the flood disaster. Even collecting from the entire region, they could only obtain this one piece of precious wood. Upon returning, he immediately gifted it to our Princess Evelyn. Our princess was reluctant to use it, so it's been sitting there until now. When burning incense, the nannies continued. This incense was made by a renowned master craftsman famous throughout the land. Master Gabriel specially made it for Princess Evelyn when she was born. I heard that after that, Master Gabriel declared he would never make incense again. Don't mention that this small piece of incense. Its value could equal an entire family fortune. So the brocade bedding was replaced with ordinary cotton quilts. The wooden bathing tub was changed to a bamboo one, and the precious incense was replaced with the cheapest bamboo leaf incense. When everything was finished, the nannies gathered together whispering, "I heard that, because of a woman, His Highness Crown Prince William was hit on the head by Your Majesty and is now under house arrest. Currently, Her Majesty Empress Victoria has removed her phoenix crown and is kneeling before the imperial study, begging Your Majesty to forgive him. I really don't know what kind of enchanting woman made Crown Prince William abandon our wonderful Princess Evelyn and even caused a rift with Your Majesty. If I knew who it was, I'd definitely scratch her face." Enough, don't say any more. Royal family matters shouldn't be discussed casually. Be careful, or you'll lose your lives like a game. Grace's face turned green and white. The peach wood comb in her hand had been gripped so tightly it cracked into small lines. Nevertheless, she forced out a strained smile. "The nannies have worked hard. Why don't you all go rest first? If there's anything, I'll call you." The nannies answered in unison, "Yes," and closed the door as they left. I heard that when they left, Grace's expression was quite spectacular indeed. I just smirked with disdain. This was only the beginning. The nannies served Grace attentively every day, but always, inadvertently, brought up what was happening in the imperial palace. Grace had been so worried about William these past few days that she had no appetite for food and was gloomy all day. William had been on a hunger strike for 7 days. Empress Victoria cried day and night, causing this matter to spread throughout the court and harem. A crown prince actually causing chaos for a woman, making the entire court restless. It truly made people shake their heads and sigh. Quite a few ministers had submitted memorials harshly criticizing William, demanding Emperor Marcus severely punish the crown prince. However, the emperor, who valued relationships, faced Empress Victoria's tears over the past few days, and William's repeated fainting spells finally softened his heart. He issued a decree ordering my father to officially adopt Grace and formally enter her into the family register. Calculating the time, the day Emperor Marcus issued the decree to kill Grace was not far away. I led Mother's token and brought nearly 100 secret guards, with about 50 people secretly arranged around Grace, taking turns protecting her 24 hours a day without rest. The rest were scattered around the river where Grace had once drowned, based on my previous life's memories. However, strangely, although William had been released from house arrest and Emperor Marcus had issued a decree entering Grace's name into the family register, he still hadn't made a move against Grace. Could it be that my actions were too obvious, making the Emperor suspect my motives? On the right day, I came to Princess Catherine's manor under the pretext of handling account books for Mother, without alarming anyone. Moreover, Mother's secret guards were on par with Emperor Marcus's imperial guards. No matter how many people I deployed to protect Grace, there would definitely be no traces left. I must have missed something. Half a month later, Empress Victoria led William to find Mother for a game of chess. But how could the Empress, who came from a background as a laundry girl, know how to play chess? This was just an excuse to bring William to see Grace. As soon as they arrived at the royal manor, William couldn't restrain himself and immediately left us behind to run straight to Grace. Empress Victoria covered her mouth with her hand, her face full of maternal love. That child doesn't even understand half as much as Evelyn. Once he has a wife, he forgets his mother. At this time, Emperor Marcus still hadn't agreed to my divorce from William. My title as future crown princess remained, yet Empress Victoria brazenly called Grace her daughter-in-law in front of Mother and me. This was clearly insulting us. That Grace girl is both beautiful and gentle. Truly very suitable for our Prince William. What does a woman need to be so strong for? Managing the family business is men's work. Women should stay home and do well in helping their husbands and teaching children. Don't you think so, imperial sister? My heart suddenly tightened. Mother was the most noble Princess Catherine of Avalon Empire. When former Emperor Marcus was still alive, she had gone to the battlefield with him to kill enemies. After the former emperor passed away, she still maintained a firm position in court. She hated most hearing others tell her how women should be or how men should be. If anyone dared to stand before her and lecture about how to be a woman, even Emperor Marcus would be refuted by her until he couldn't raise his head. I immediately realized Empress Victoria was deliberately provoking Mother, hoping she would get angry and retaliate. But now was not the time. I quickly lowered my hand, stepped forward, and discreetly grasped her hand through the sleeve, concealing it. Empress Victoria's words are indeed very correct. Evelyn humbly receives instruction. I bowed without showing a trace of dissatisfaction, my voice so gentle that no one could find fault, but waves were churning in my heart. Did Empress Victoria think she had won? Mother understood me better than anyone. With just one glance, she recognized my thoughts. Within a few breaths, the gloom on her face immediately disappeared, replaced by a harmonious smile. She turned to invite the Empress. A few days ago, the manor received some silk from Cloud River. I wonder if Empress Victoria would like to take a look. Empress Victoria forced herself to maintain her smile, her face somewhat stiff. No need, the palace has all kinds of silk. We're not lacking in such things. Empress Victoria speaks incorrectly. The silk in the palace belongs to the palace, while this is my personal sentiment, hoping the Empress will honor me by accepting it. Mother seemed to affectionately link arms with Empress Victoria as if they were close sisters. Before leaving, she glanced at me. I quietly breathed a sigh of relief, half my worries settled. I then hurriedly returned to the main courtyard. The main courtyard and Grace's small courtyard were very close to each other. Just by leaning against the wall, I could clearly hear the conversation between William and Grace. Your Highness looks so pressured. Grace's heart aches to death. Grace truly hates herself for being powerless and unable to help you with anything, unlike sister who can support you in everything. Nonsense. How can you compare to her? Don't you understand that you are my heart's treasure? What is your Highness doing? Grace understands everything. Actually, you don't need to go to such lengths for Grace. Grace's status is lowly and not worthy of you suffering like this. You're not worthy. Then who else is more worthy? Seeing you like this breaks my heart. I can't eat all day, just hoping to embrace you soon. Fortunately, you came today, so embrace me now. Embrace me to your heart's content. Wait until you marry me, then you can embrace me every day. The sweet voice was enough to make anyone who heard it melt, but I no longer had the mind to care about such things. Just before Empress Victoria arrived here, Mother had told me that Father had handed over half of his family assets to Grace. This meant that in his heart, Grace was already more important than Mother and me combined. A foreign, surnamed Royal Lord of Stirling Royal Manor actually wanted to suppress Princess Catherine. This was something Mother absolutely could not accept, and I could not accept either. That night, Grace led a group of servants to the main courtyard. Unlike her usual weak appearance, she showed arrogance, standing among the crowd with a triumphant air. She pointed to the servants behind her with a haughty tone. These servants were all bestowed upon me by Her Majesty Empress Victoria and His Highness Crown Prince William. Fearing they might cause noise and disturb sister, I brought them here to apologize to sister first. If they truly disturb you in the future, I hope sister will be magnanimous and forgive them. After speaking, she sighed, her eyes looking directly at me with frankness. People inside are indeed different from those outside. Just one look from the master and they understand their owner's intentions. Sister understands what I mean, right? Oh, I almost forgot. Her Majesty Empress Victoria and His Highness Crown Prince William seem to have never bestowed servants upon sister. She feigned regret and continued to provoke. Her Majesty Empress Victoria and His Highness Crown Prince William are supreme beings. How can they casually assign servants to others? Only those with noble status receive such treatment. Sister, do you think so? I followed her words and looked at the group of servants behind her. Indeed, they were people who usually served Empress Victoria and Crown Prince William. Just a few servants, yet Grace dared to be so arrogant. Empress Victoria and William's servants weren't because they didn't want to give them to me, but because Mother didn't bother to accept them. I ordered people to drive Grace and all the servants and chairs out, then used my foot to step hard on her delicate white wrist noble status. Grace cried out in pain, crying and cursing. I'll tell Crown Prince William. My mood improved immediately. I used my blood-stained shoe tip to lift her chin, saying coldly, "You do look beautiful, but you have no brains." Grace stumbled to her feet, her face disheveled, backing away, trembling mean. My meaning is, besides clinging to men, what else do you know how to do? Are men your heaven and earth? Can't you live without them? Even a beaten dog knows to bark a few times in resistance, but you. Are your hands and feet, your claws and fangs only for decoration? You only know to stare with red eyes, cry and say you'll tell Crown Prince William. So what after telling him? Have him beat me, kill me? Don't be ridiculous. Mother is Princess Catherine of Avalon Empire, the only female official in court, above 10,000 people, and his aunt. I am his aunt's daughter. If he touches me because of you, do you think those officials will let it slide? Just one person spitting would be enough to drown him. Or you could have him assign a few more servants to you. But look at the servants behind you. I threw you down and stepped on you, and they only knew to kneel on the ground trembling, begging me to show mercy. Why? Because even though they're palace servants, once they leave the imperial palace, they're still just servants, while in this manor, I am the master. What are you so proud of? Where do you feel superior? Go ahead and tell Crown Prince William, but what meaning does that have? I've never considered Grace as an opponent. To me, you only deserve contempt, like how someone above looks at someone below. But there's a saying about boats capsizing in gutters. Grace is that gutter. I won't let the tragedy of my previous life repeat, so I'm humbling myself to let you understand what nobility is and what lowliness is. I am noble. You are lowly. Grace held her arm and silently left with a dejected appearance. Just a useless person. It's truly laughable that William and Empress Victoria would exhaust their hearts and souls to support her. First requesting a decree for my father to enter her name into the family register, then arranging people to assist her, especially Empress Victoria's boastful behavior in front of Mother, as if the royal family had just welcomed something momentous. But so what? As long as there's no decree for divorce and appointing her as crown princess, she can't do anything to me. As long as she can't do anything to me, I'll keep her under my feet and crush her. But why hasn't the decree been issued yet? Why? A thought suddenly flashed through my mind, making me gasp in realization. So that's how it is. A few days later, Empress Victoria held an autumn banquet to admire flowers. I originally didn't plan to pay attention to Grace, but she deliberately provoked me in the winding corridor. She stubbornly wanted to show off the jade bracelet bestowed by Empress Victoria in front of me. This is the imperial jade bracelet that Her Majesty Empress Victoria personally bestowed. I heard it was originally intended as a gift for the crown princess on her wedding day, but now it's given to me. Sister won't be angry, will you? Look at this jade. Look at this color. It's truly lovable. It's just a pity there's only one bracelet. I'm afraid sister doesn't have the fortune to receive one. In my jewelry collection, I had a piece of raw imperial jade as tall as half a person, yet she treasured this tiny bracelet like a treasure. I stopped, grasped her wrist, and placed her hand on my chest. She gasped in surprise, "Ah, sister, surely you're not planning to snatch it. I'd also like to give it to sister, but this was bestowed by Her Majesty Empress Victoria. If sister takes it, I'm afraid Her Majesty won't be pleased." I smiled faintly and said softly, "Grace, you're truly foolish. Let me teach you a lesson. Smart people know how to hide, while foolish people show off. What's the point?" Grace looked stunned for a moment, and I took that opportunity to fall backward, pretending she had pushed me into the lake. When I opened my eyes, I was back at the royal manor. I didn't push her. She fell into the water herself. Grace knelt on the ground, her slender neck exposed, tears streaming as she grabbed father's robe hem. But all the noble ladies and maidservants present could testify that she had provoked me first, and then pushed me into the lake. Mother's eyes were red with rage as she ordered 2 nannies to hold Grace tightly, then stepped forward and slapped her hard several times. "If my daughter doesn't wake up, the first person I'll kill and bury with her is you." Grace's beautiful face immediately bore several bright red handprints. She looked pleadingly at my father, But his eyes only showed disappointment. Her face turned pale, her body swaying as if she might collapse at any moment. I could even imagine the scene then. If not for Crown Prince William and my father protecting her, she would have been taken to the Ministry of Justice instead of kneeling here enduring mother's wrath and scolding. This was the lesson I had taught her. I had thousands of ways to use her to achieve my goals. Because in this life, she was no longer like the previous life where she was killed by Emperor Marcus's people after Mother caused chaos in Phoenix Palace. They had used her death to frame Mother for making mistakes out of excessive love for her child. This life, I could turn her into a tool to reclaim all the assets in Father's hands. If not for discovering the close relationship between my father and Crown Prince William, I might never have guessed the truth behind the tragic deaths of Mother and me in the previous life. It was a conspiracy constructed by my father and Emperor Marcus himself. They used Grace's death to stimulate William into marrying me, actually to gradually encroach upon Mother's power. When Mother's power completely fell into the hands of Emperor Marcus and William, and we lost our usefulness, they killed us. Former Emperor Marcus once said that if Mother were a man, this world would surely belong to her. Because of just that one sentence, even though Mother never intended to oppose the court, Emperor Marcus always feared her. On the royal bed, how could one allow others to sleep peacefully? My father was Emperor Marcus's most loyal sharp blade. Only because Mother condescended to marry him did he break the beautiful relationship between him and Grace's mother. When Grace's mother died in difficult childbirth, Father was touring lakes and enjoying spring with Mother, not even making it to see her one last time. He hated Mother, believing that if not for her forcing him to go touring, Grace's mother wouldn't have died. Though they shared a bed, he resented her day and night, even hoping to kill her. Father didn't love Mother, didn't love me, and didn't even truly love Grace. He only loved that gentle woman like a white lotus in his memory. After falling into the lake, my body was injured. It was late autumn in the imperial city, with strong winds. The imperial physician suggested I go to South Harbor for recuperation. Father initially disagreed, but with my tears and Mother by my side, he had to give in. However, he insisted that those who cared for me must be personally selected by him. On the surface it was for my benefit, but actually to secretly monitor me. On the day I departed, Father was attending court and hadn't returned yet. Grace adamantly refused to see me off. Mother grasped my hand tightly, her eyes gradually blurring. "Evelyn, you've suffered so much these past days. Mother is truly useless for not being able to protect you." I gently wiped away her tears and embraced her. Mother is the best mother in the world. Evelyn is truly fortunate to have such a mother. This trip will be short, half a year, long, 1 or 2 years. I'll have to trouble Mother with everything in the manor. Mother just needs to remember what I told you yesterday. Whether facing Father or in court, if you can avoid getting angry, don't get angry. Please be patient and wait for Evelyn to return. This trip wasn't just for healing but also to prepare for future confrontation with the Son of Heaven. In this dynasty, no woman had ever been called emperor, simply because the world believed women should stay in the inner chambers, serving husbands and teaching children. They thought women should be like caged orioles with golden chains on their feet. Magnificent when happy, they'd open the cage door to let the bird fly a little. But when unhappy, they'd cut off food, beat the cage, even clip wings or strangle to death. Even someone as noble as Mother, though the first female official in court history, only received one sentence from former Emperor Marcus: "If you were a man." Yet she still had to be like every other woman, forced to marry someone who didn't love her, even enduring daily wariness from Emperor Marcus and scheming from her own bedmate, simply because she had taken power from their hands. But in this world, those with talent should hold power. If they could sit on the dragon throne, why couldn't we? In the 2 years at South Harbor, I skillfully evaded all of Father's surveillance and swiftly seized all assets, both public and private, that Father possessed. Even the assets he had given to Grace, I destroyed completely. At the same time, I secretly accumulated grain, forged weapons, and cultivated talent. On Mother's side, she used the name of Princess Catherine to lead the country in land development, expanding cultivation, establishing academies and schools. Emperor Marcus began to panic. When I returned to the imperial capital, Mother organized a banquet inviting guests from all directions. Empress Victoria also came to congratulate. bringing an imperial decree establishing Grace as crown princess and selecting a wedding date. Empress Victoria's face was radiant as spring. "Evelyn, you're a good girl who grew up beside Prince William since childhood, but it's a pity you two couldn't go to the end. Now you're also grown up, and Prince William is the crown prince after all. I think you understand this, don't you?" Of course I understood. She wanted to use the banquet to intimidate Mother while maintaining her own good reputation. Her meaning was that her son was noble while I was unworthy, but it wouldn't be that easy. Mother didn't let Empress Victoria ruin the banquet or harbor resentment. Instead, she continued smiling brightly. "Empress Victoria speaks incorrectly. Evelyn and Prince William grew up together, so naturally she hopes for his well-being. Those without fortune cannot stay where there's fortune. Seeing Crown Prince William and his beloved finally together, she's also happy for them." Empress Victoria was slightly puzzled, not understanding why after provoking to this extent, Mother still maintained a smiling face and acted like close sisters. Before leaving, Mother turned her head and raised her eyebrows at me, her eyes full of mocking laughter, as if wanting to say, "Evelyn, Mother did well, didn't she?" But only I knew the next sentence Mother was about to say. "Those with fortune don't enter, those without fortune follow behind." After the banquet, the play continued. That evening, Grace again led a crowd to my main courtyard. Now she had been designated as crown princess by Emperor Marcus, her status no longer the same as before. Her residence had also been upgraded according to her position, with double the number of servants and nannies beside her. Though my main courtyard wasn't as magnificent as her courtyard, it was the true symbol of status. Yet as soon as she arrived, she demanded I kneel and leave. I just laughed, saying that after 2 years of not seeing her, she still hadn't matured. Oh, but she had made some progress. All the assets in her hands had been completely seized by me, leaving her penniless to the point of secretly selling my belongings. A nanny beside me laughed coldly, speaking bluntly, "Second Miss is truly too self-important. Everyone in noble families knows that when our Princess Evelyn was born, the entire manor was filled with red light, 24 phoenixes circled the roof for 12 hours. She's blessed by heaven. Your Majesty specially decreed that our Princess Evelyn only needs to kneel to heaven, earth and birth parents. Besides that, no one deserves her kneeling. Moreover, Second Miss is just a crown princess who hasn't yet entered the door." Grace was so angry her face turned red. "How dare you? When this crown princess speaks, is it a slave's turn to interrupt? The servants of Princess Evelyn truly have no manners." The nanny looked at me with grievance, but when she met my gaze, she immediately trembled and knelt on the ground, shaking as she begged, "Princess Evelyn, spare my life." Grace's face briefly triumphed. "The servant doesn't understand propriety. Sister is teaching them a lesson for you. You won't blame me, will you?" I waved my hand lightly with a cold smile. "Of course not." But the next moment, Grace was held down by 2 strong nannies and pressed to the ground. "What are you doing? Let me go. I'm the crown princess." The 2 nannies said nothing, just directly slapped her face. Left side then right side, so fast it made her beautiful face swell like a pig's head. I smiled lightly and stepped forward slowly. "Sister truly doesn't know propriety. Have you forgotten the lesson from 2 years ago? We're sisters. Half our blood is the same. As your elder sister, teaching a disobedient younger sister like you is also proper." I paused, looking straight at her swollen red face, my voice gentle but full of mockery. "Actually, these slaps should have been given by me, personally as your sister, but you let servants teach you instead. That means you've placed yourself on the same level as them. So letting servants represent me in teaching you is perfectly appropriate." I beat Grace and threatened that if she didn't obediently listen, I'd cut off all her hair so she couldn't marry. As a result, she was horrified, her face drained of color, crying as she ran to find William. The next day, early in the morning, William stood before my courtyard, pointing and shouting, "Evelyn Sterling, you've gone too far. Grace is my future wife. You dare lay hands on her? Do you still have this crown prince in your eyes?" I hadn't seen him for 2 years. Without me in the imperial capital, he had indeed become much more unrestrained. He dared use this tone to speak to me. Had he forgotten? When we were young studying at the Grand Tutors, every time he bullied other young masters. Who was it that cornered him and beat him half to death? Nevertheless, I wasn't surprised. In my previous life, Mother and I died tragically in the royal manor precisely by his hand. That was enough to prove his nature was originally arrogant and vicious. He only appeared obedient in front of Mother out of fear. I properly invited him into the courtyard. He thought I was afraid of him and immediately showed contempt, arrogantly ordering me to pour tea. I picked up the tea tray, poured a cup of cold tea, then without hesitation splashed it directly on his head. You haven't even entered the door yet, and you want to control my sister. Or do you want to join me in Phoenix Palace to petition and ask if I'm right or wrong? Uncle Emperor Marcus is the son of heaven and still finds it inconvenient to interfere in ministers' family affairs. Could it be that Your Highness Crown Prince William is more capable than the Son of Heaven? I looked at him and smirked mockingly. Just you. You're worthy of me pouring tea. Your brain only has that much water. It would kill even a fish, yet you want me to serve you. William couldn't argue back and angrily left to find Grace to vent his anger. I immediately ordered people to tie him up tightly, stuff rags in his mouth, then carry him in a sedan chair straight from my courtyard's main gate toward the imperial palace. He didn't even get to see Grace's face. Father had just finished court and hurriedly came to find me, but by then the news of William barging into the boudoir, because of passion, had spread throughout the imperial capital, like thunderflame. You're too reckless. Crown Prince William scolded you a few words because of Grace. You should have endured it a little. Why did you have to cause such a scene that affects your own reputation? I blinked in disbelief that these words came from my father's mouth. My tears of resentment flowed. Father, you clearly know why I disciplined sister. Last night 2 years ago, she stole my fiancé and pushed me into the water. I had to spend 2 years recovering before getting slightly better. Yet when I just returned, she wanted to drive me out of my own courtyard. I just couldn't bear it anymore. But Grace is the future crown princess. What will father do before your majesty, before Her Majesty Empress Victoria, before all the civil and military officials? Ever since I secretly seized all of father's assets, William no longer received any benefits from him, and their relationship had also grown distant. If not for Grace, William would have abandoned him long ago. In court, Mother's people both openly and secretly pressured him. Though Emperor Marcus tried hard to protect him, many oversights were still exposed. His official career path was encountering difficulties. Now he seemed to have pinned all his hopes on Grace. Seeing me cause trouble with William, he hated that he couldn't kill me on the spot. I tried to suppress my heartache, lowered my voice to admit my mistake, and showed submission. Only then was he temporarily satisfied and left to find Grace. Looking at his retreating figure, I silently calculated the day of his death. Currently it was autumn harvest time. Based on my previous life's memories, in half a month, the northern tribes would raid the border. 1 month later, the northern tribes' elite troops would directly attack the border defense line, officially starting the war between the two countries. In my previous life, the front lines fell into a stalemate, the national treasury was depleted, grain and fodder couldn't be transported in time, soldiers' morale declined, and battles were continuously lost. When father asked the court, it turned out no one dared stand up and take responsibility. When everyone was afraid of death, Mother, with her status as a woman, personally transported grain and fodder and led troops to battle, bringing 100 years of peace to Avalon Empire. But in the end, she was imprisoned by William on charges of harming the imperial son and collaborating with enemies to betray the country. This life, I would personally put William in a dilemma. He would have to choose between beauty or the world. Ever since William came to my courtyard, Grace had been quiet for several days. She didn't cause trouble with me nor seek out Crown Prince William or father to complain. Today, while I was reading in the long corridor, someone sent by Mother came to report. Princess Evelyn. Princess Catherine just received a piece of blood, red stone, and wants to ask you what kind of jewelry it should be made into. When I glanced toward the corner of the corridor, I glimpsed a light blue garment and paused slightly. Blood, red stone was extremely rare. Where did it come from? It's a tribute from the western regions. Her Majesty Empress Victoria had someone deliver it, saying it was Crown Prince William's apology. I nodded. Perfect. Mother's bracelet broke a few days ago. This blood, red stone can be made into a new bracelet for her. When I returned to the book I was reading earlier, it had disappeared. I asked the palace maids, "Did any of you see my book?" They all shook their heads in unison. I sighed softly. Well, if it's lost, it's lost. Just a book about the beacon fire drama of the feudal lords. Some servant probably saw it and picked it up. Half a month later, as expected, war was imminent. But Mother suddenly collapsed in Phoenix Palace. Once she lay down, she couldn't get up for 2 whole months. Emergency reports continuously came from the front lines. The situation was extremely critical. Emperor Marcus was so worried he couldn't sleep at night, often staying in the imperial study all night thinking. Empress Victoria came to see me every few days, inquiring, "Evelyn, is your mother's condition really that serious?" I attended to Mother day and night beside her bed, never having a moment's rest. My face was pale and my eyes sunken. Mother had once gone to battle to kill enemies, and her body bore old wounds. Now encountering autumn winds, the old injuries flared up painfully. The imperial physician said she needed careful recuperation. Without 3 to 5 years, she couldn't fully recover. Hearing this, Empress Victoria's face was full of sorrow as she left in contemplation. After she left, Mother opened her eyes and exchanged a glance with me. How ridiculous. Emperor Marcus was truly a coward and hypocrite to the extreme. Normally he feared Mother's achievements overwhelming the master, always finding ways to restrain her. Now with border troubles, he hoped she would immediately risk her life for him. Not only that, he didn't dare speak directly, afraid of losing face before officials and people. So he sent Empress Victoria to probe for information, using her to test the situation. He wanted both dignity and was cowardly, useless beyond compare. William was even more useless. Upon hearing of continuous defeats at the front lines, he immediately sought to curry favor with civil officials, fearing someone with grudges against him would push him to the battlefield. But the people couldn't bear the court's deadlock. Groups of people knelt before the palace gates, begging the Son of Heaven to personally lead the army. Emperor Marcus, forced into a corner, used the excuse that the country couldn't be without a ruler for a single day and pushed William forward. The emperor's cowardice and fear of death while still wanting to maintain a good reputation was displayed without any concealment. Empress Victoria, worried about her son, refused food and drink, kneeling before the palace crying for 3 days and nights, but couldn't change Emperor Marcus's decision. On the day of departure, people crowded both sides of the road to bid farewell. At the city gate, Grace threw herself into William's arms, crying until she could barely breathe. "Your Highness must return safely." William lovingly comforted her with gentle words, "I will return. Grace, wait for my triumphant return. I will definitely crown you with the phoenix crown and dress you in wedding robes when I return." The 10-mile farewell scene was so touching it moved people to tears. Only when Grace turned to leave had she already changed into men's clothing and secretly followed. Before departing, she carried a small bundle and stopped by my courtyard to show off. "Sister may not care about reputation and want to bind herself to His Highness Crown Prince William, but sister still can't compete with me. His Highness said that being away from me for even 1 day, he couldn't live. Now I must go find His Highness. This is truly laughable. Even now you still don't forget to come to my courtyard to cause trouble. But since I'm your sister, I should still give advice when needed. The military camp is not a place for women to enter casually. Have you thought this through carefully? Being able to see the person you love is always a happy thing, and Grace is no exception." Grace's beautiful face was full of anticipation. "No need for sister to worry. His Highness has already made all arrangements." Seeing I couldn't dissuade her, I kindly had someone bring a set of golden armor. But she didn't even bother to look, directly throwing it to the ground. "Thank you, sister, but no need. His Highness will protect me completely. It's just a pity sister doesn't have the fortune like me." I had someone pick up the armor and put it away. The most foolish woman is one who ties her future tightly to a man. Men are the most fickle creatures. When they love, they can pluck stars from the sky. When they hate, they can cut flesh and strip bones from those they once swore to love forever. They lie, they scheme, they're two-faced, and even their closest people can be used. Emperor Marcus, to deal with Mother, didn't hesitate to use Empress Victoria's foolishness. My father, to oppose Mother, was willing to use the daughter born to the woman he loved. William, to destroy Mother and me, endured for years and finally used the knife to dismember me, while pushing Mother to a painful death on the bronze pillar. At the moment of life and death, how could William willingly shield Grace from swords? I had warned her countless times, But truly, good advice is hard for ghosts and spirits to accept. I could only wish her survival and return alive, to witness with her own eyes what a disgusting face the man she had always loved truly had. However, Grace's departure this time completely disrupted Father's plans. He had intended to use Mother's serious illness to employ Grace to infiltrate the harems of major families, gradually weakening Mother's influence. When he controlled the harems, William would seize court power, then take the opportunity to eliminate Mother. Then, he would have both avenged his beloved and escaped Mother's lifelong shadow. But at this crucial moment, Grace left, and Mother's condition improved. She could even get out of bed and walk around. Father was troubled but couldn't show it, only forcing himself to smile harmoniously as he took the medicine bowl from my hands, his eyes full of concern. "Madame must recover quickly. I still hope to ride horses and tour with you." Looking at anyone, they would think Father was an exemplary husband. But the fingers holding the medicine bowl were pale, just revealing the unease in his heart. Mother drank the medicine from his hands while seemingly casually mentioning the rare treasures in my courtyard. "Evelyn's birthday is coming soon. I imagine gifts will fill her courtyard again. I'm afraid it can't hold much more. In 2 days, have someone inventory everything and move to a larger place." Father's expression briefly stiffened. Though he tried to hide it, he still revealed something. "That courtyard is already the largest in the manor. If we change to somewhere else, we can only move everything to Evelyn's main courtyard. Or maybe we don't need to change. Let's not bother." Mother gently sipped the medicine. The corner of her mouth slightly curved as if she hadn't noticed anything, but her gaze swept over me with full amusement, as if saying, "Look at him. This is all he's capable of." That small courtyard had quite a few valuable items that Grace had taken and sold. The money received was mostly given to Father, who used all of it to provide for William. If we inventoried now, the list and reality wouldn't match. Mother would definitely investigate to the end. How could this be overlooked? "Evelyn, are you really my daughter? There's no room in the manor, so there's no room outside either. Isn't there still an empty courtyard on Westside Lane? Why not have someone clean it up and move Evelyn's things there?" Father immediately objected, realizing he had misspoken. He hurriedly forced a smile. "That place is crowded and complex. If there are jealous people spying, what would we do? How about I have someone dig more space in the current courtyard, expand it a bit?" But this excuse wasn't enough to convince Mother. "This won't work, that won't work either. You're truly useless. If the royal manor can't accommodate everything, why not move it all to Princess Catherine's manor?" For a man, being called useless when the resentment in his heart had accumulated to the extreme. That night, in Mother's medicine bowl, heaven knows, earth doesn't know, an extra dose of poison appeared. Mother poured the medicine into the flower basin, her empty gaze watching the medicine flow down. "He really wants me dead that badly." I sighed softly. Women exhausting their hearts for men is the most foolish thing. In my previous life, I had died once. Father fell ill and was poisoned. Mother flew into a rage and caused chaos at the Ministry of Justice, demanding that within half a victory period, the culprit must be found, or she would go to Phoenix Palace to cry for justice. The Minister of Justice was so frightened he didn't dare raise his head. The culprit wasn't found, but they accidentally discovered Grace secretly selling treasures from my courtyard, then giving the money to Father for illegal salt trading and weapon smuggling. This was a major crime worthy of exterminating 9 generations. Further investigation revealed murky relationships with William. No one could understand. Emperor Marcus currently only had William as his son, and the entire Avalon Empire would belong to him in the future. So why would he commit such treasonous acts? But now William was at the border fighting the northern tribes, so Emperor Marcus could only temporarily imprison my father in the heavenly prison. Mother aged 10 years in an instant. She wore a simple white outfit and used the female minister's token bestowed by former Emperor Marcus to exchange for imperial grace, requesting Emperor Marcus spare Father's life. The Emperor agreed. The female minister's token symbolized Mother's status in court. It was the glory she had carried for decades. On the day we welcomed Father out of the heavenly prison, Mother wore the same outfit she had worn when first meeting Father. Time flies so fast. In the blink of an eye, I've been married to you for so many years. 10 victories can't defeat time. I've also changed from a young girl to an old woman. I pinned a golden hairpin on her hair bun. looking through the bronze mirror at the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes. 10 victories can't defeat a beauty. Mother is still as beautiful as ever. She smiled and gently touched my forehead. Sweet, talking little mouth. Mother laughed heartily, her mood seemingly very good. Who could think that she was once called the greatest beauty of Avalon Empire, once cherished like a pearl by former Emperor Marcus? Father was pulled out from the heavenly prison with white hair and a body full of wounds, not a single healthy spot left. But when he saw Mother, his eyes lit up with a layer of sorrow. Madam, I was wronged. Mother smiled gently and nodded softly. I know. Father's eyes immediately brightened. You believe me, don't you? I was truly wrong. You must go see your Majesty and help me tell him that this subject has never had a duplicitous heart. Mother just shook her head gently and asked an unrelated question. On the 12th day of the 3rd month of the 36th year of Yuan Jia, I accompanied the Empress Dowager to Mount Lotus to worship Buddha and was attacked by bandits. You blocked a blade for me then. Was that arranged by you? Father's face turned pale as if remembering something, his voice becoming panicked. You listen to me explain. I can explain. Mother shook her head and cut him off. I don't need explanations. I just want you to answer. Yes or no? Father trembled and crawled toward her. His voice lost. Madam, you listen to me. I also had my difficulties. Mother sighed, her eyes full of regret. I already gave you a chance. After saying this, she turned and left, her robe fluttering as if cutting off all connections. I lowered my head, my gaze just meeting Father's pleading look. He was like a dog with no dignity left, urgently begging. Evelyn, looking at our father-daughter relationship, please intercede with Mother for me. Please ask her to forgive me. I stepped back half a step, my voice cold. When you poisoned Mother, you must have known this day would come. Father's expression changed immediately. He stared at me with eyes full of hatred. Indeed. You're something born from that power, hungry woman's belly. You're just like your mother. I should never have kept you from the beginning. His words referred to when I was 7 years old and bitten by a poisonous snake. That day, Mother and Father had a fierce argument. I don't know why. When the sun was setting, I was alone in the courtyard picking peonies. I thought if I could pick a few beautiful ones, Father might use them to coax Mother and make peace with her. When I had just picked the 3rd peony, a poisonous snake crawled up and wrapped tightly around my leg. The servants who should have been beside me had disappeared somewhere. I was so scared I cried until I choked. Just then, Father appeared. He used his mouth to suck out the poison for me, then called the imperial physician to treat me. At that time, I believed Father was my protector, my hero. But I never thought that he was the one who had released that poisonous snake. Children are naturally born to love their parents, but there are some parents who don't love their children at all. They only love themselves. I locked Father in the firewood storage room, giving him only a wooden bed with straw and a broken bowl containing leftover food like pig slop. After half a victory of struggling in misery, he was finally about to die. I covered my nose and pushed open the door of the storage room. The stench rushed out from inside, making people nauseous. Mother had sent me ask Father if he knew his mistakes yet. Father lay on the wooden bed, breathing weakly but his eyes still full of resentment. I was silent for a moment, then said to myself, perhaps Father doesn't think he's wrong. You're best at blaming others. How could you admit your own mistakes? I slowly walked around the bed and finally stopped in front of him. One moment swearing to your beloved that you would never betray her for life, the next moment coveting Mother's power. One moment making love with the person you love, the next moment pretending to be gentle with Mother. Father not becoming an actor is truly a pity. Your acting has been so perfect all these years that it made Mother trust you deeply. Father opened his mouth to say something, but I quickly stuffed the handkerchief in my hand into his mouth, my face full of disgust. Please don't say anything more. I know you're going to say that it was former Emperor Marcus who decreed your marriage to Mother, that you were forced. That if not for Mother insisting on marrying you, you would have already married your beloved. Everything is Mother's fault, right? It's her who caused you and your beloved to be separated by life and death, isn't it? I also looked down, my eyes cold as ice. But Mother gave you many chances. It's you who was too greedy, wanting both. It's you who killed the person you loved. I paused and pulled out the handkerchief, my voice gentle but full of mockery. Mother is soft-hearted. She said that after being husband and wife for decades, even though you betrayed and harmed her, she couldn't bear to see you suffer like this. So she asked me to come here on her behalf to send you on your final journey. Oh right. I pretended to just remember something, saying in surprise, I forgot to tell Father. All the assets in your hands have been taken by me. After all, Father once said that your things would sooner or later be mine anyway. So taking them early doesn't make much difference. Father had his mouth stuffed and could only struggle, making unclear, sounds. I glanced indifferently and calmly walked out of the room, instructing the servants. The weather has been really dry lately. Everyone be careful not to let fires break out in the manor. Looking up at the clear blue sky, I sighed softly. I wonder how well the funeral oration has been prepared. Behind me, fire blazed fiercely, the red light illuminating the entire sky, but no one dared step forward to fight the fire. Father died unceremoniously. Mother observed mourning and didn't go out. During this time, another major incident occurred at the front lines. To make Grace happy, William had repeatedly lit beacon fires. Beacon fires were originally emergency signals when enemy troops attacked, used to alert of critical danger. Seeing the beacon fires burning, generals and soldiers thought the northern tribes had broken through the defense line and hurriedly led troops to respond. But when they arrived, they only saw William and Grace playing music and dancing on the city wall. When the defense line was truly broken by the northern tribes, William again lit the beacon fires, but this time no one came to rescue. As a result, the northern tribes consecutively captured 5 cities. Not only did soldiers' morale drop to an unprecedented low, but the entire court was shaken. William and Grace failed miserably, fleeing while enduring the elements, finally managing to escape back to the imperial capital. As soon as they entered the city, both were immediately arrested. For a commander-in-chief, the crime of deserting while commanding was the greatest taboo. In Phoenix Palace, William prostrated himself, tears and snot flowing as he said, Father Emperor, please understand. Everything was because this person bewitched your son. It was she who forced me to light the beacon fires. I was just bewitched by her. She's a fox spirit reincarnated. Grace was bound all over, exhausted, her eyes full of despair. Look. Irresponsible men, though their mouths always say they love you, at the moment of life and death will still abandon you for their own lives. Love cannot overcome human selfish nature. This is reality. In my previous life, Emperor Marcus killed Grace while William hated Mother to the bone. But this life, he personally pushed Grace onto the execution platform. Except for himself, he had no one left to blame and resent. On the day of execution, I went to the heavenly prison to see Grace. She who was once a beauty with delicate features now huddled like an old woman, no longer having any spirit. You came to mock me, didn't you, Evelyn? I admit you won. He said he loved me. It was all fake, all lies. I laughed softly, my voice light as a breeze. I indeed want to mock you for your foolishness without self-awareness, but I feel pity for you instead. You were ambitious, you fought, because from childhood to adulthood, that's all you were taught. I placed a small piece of sheepskin in her hand, my voice cold. You can choose to continue living or choose to die without dignity. In another hour, if you choose to live, then the next time we meet, I'll give you the chance to personally kill William. Grace tremblingly gripped the sheepskin as if it were her last salvation, her eyes full of hatred staring toward the eastern palace like a hungry wolf. I want to live. I want to personally kill him. Why do you want to help me? I smiled faintly, running my finger across her palm, my voice full of contempt. Consider it me as your sister, showing you some pity. Not long after Mother, despite her ailing body, personally transported grain and fodder and led troops to the front lines. The first battle was a great victory. Emperor Marcus took the opportunity to issue a decree reinstating the marriage between me and William to show the royal family's grace. On the wedding day, Mother still hadn't returned. After much deliberation, I understood Emperor Marcus's intention. He was using me as a hostage to warn Mother that I was in his hands, so she shouldn't dare act presumptuously or raise troops for self-respect. To control me, he daily poisoned me with chronic toxins, but I had returned it all to William with some sulfur as a bonus. During the 2 years I was in South Harbor, Mother had found dozens of girls with appearances similar to Grace and brought them into the manor. During the day, William indulged with them, but at night he faced those faces resembling Grace and cursed and screamed in madness. Gradually, nightmares clung to him, his body deteriorated to the point of disability, and he no longer had the ability to impregnate any woman. After William was deposed from the crown prince position, Emperor Marcus completely abandoned him and turned to consolidating the royal house by frantically taking consorts. Empress Victoria naturally disagreed, crying and making scenes in court like a jealous woman. Before long she was banished to the cold palace, ending her days of supreme power. Seeing William had been worn down by the 5-stone powder to the point of having no strength to resist, I decided to stage a coup. The court ministers had long been dissatisfied with Emperor Marcus's injustice and favoritism. Very quickly, they turned to support me. In Phoenix Palace, Emperor Marcus frantically grasped a young Pallas maid about 11 or 12 years old, using her as a shield, his appearance chaotic and panicked. I long ago recognized that you mother and daughter are both greedy wolves who don't know your place. In the shadows, archers had drawn their bows waiting for orders to fire. I wore dragon robes and stepped forward step by step, my eyes full of mockery. Emperor Marcus, your words are quite wrong. We've come to this point today. Wasn't it you who forced me? You can ask the ministers present here. Under your reign, who hasn't worked in fear? I smiled coldly, my voice calm but sharp. In the 3rd year of Yuanshang, River Valley suffered floods. The ministers offered strategies, but you stubbornly delayed again and again, turning natural disasters into human calamities. You angrily blamed them for everything and killed 100 ministers in one day. In the 10th year of Yuanshang, you and Empress Victoria made a private visit to Min province. Just because the prefect there didn't recognize you too, you decreed heavy taxation for 5 consecutive years. Min province didn't have enough grain, people starved and died filling the streets. Even in good harvest years. 3 years later, William killed someone in a dispute over a courtesan. You only gave him light punishment. House arrest for 1 month. Do you know who he killed? It was the only son of the Grand Tutor. Incident after incident, nothing doesn't make people resent. If not remembering mother's service to you, Avalon Empire would have already been torn apart by rebellions. You're incompetent, can't distinguish right from wrong, yet always doubt and guard against mother. What qualification do you have to be emperor? The coup proceeded extremely smoothly. I put William on the throne while I ruled from behind the curtain. The grain I had previously accumulated was all transported to the front lines, and the weapons forged were also in the hands of generals and soldiers. The talents I had secretly cultivated also gradually entered the court and civilian life. They handled practical matters, working for the people's welfare. In less than 3 years, Mother had pushed the northern tribes back to the frigid wasteland, leaving them only able to survive miserably. When Mother returned triumphantly, I stood before the city gate and called out loudly, respectfully welcoming the triumphant return. By this time, I had changed to follow Mother's surname. Now I was emperor, so naturally Mother was the supreme emperor. As for William, that useless person, he had already been killed by Grace with a sword through the throat. His body was probably torn apart and devoured by wild dogs in some burial ground. Mother asked me why I let Grace kill William. I frowned slightly and answered, afraid of dirtying my hands. Watching dogs die is more interesting. Furthermore, I am Grace Sterling, the illegitimate daughter of Sterling Royal Lord. After Mother passed away, I lived depending on my wet nurse, Nanny Quinn. When other children could act spoiled in their parents' arms, I hadn't even seen my father's face. Nanny was a short, fat woman. She often told stories about the love between my mother and father like fairy tales, but at night she would point at Mother's memorial tablet and curse. You're truly foolish. You couldn't even keep a man's heart. You're dead and done with, but left this burden for me. What sins did I commit in my past life? Not only did I have to support you once, now I have to raise your unlucky child too. If you had known to humble yourself and keep Lord Henry's heart when alive, how would Grace have to live with me in this dilapidated room without even a piece of meat to eat? Every time she scolded, she cried while grinding her teeth. When I was 4 years old, Father finally appeared. He looked exactly like the person in Mother's portrait. Tall with refined, gentle features. But when he bent down to pat my head, his eyes were indifferent, just like how Nanny chose vegetables at the morning market. I was scared, and hid behind Nanny. Father looked at me for a while, then his eyes showed disappointment. He turned and left immediately. As soon as he was gone, Nanny angrily pinched my arm. A smile. Call him father. If you don't know how to please him, how can we live well? Nanny was forceful, and I cried from the pain. Others said their fathers carried their daughters every day and told them fairy tales. They said their fathers would buy sweet and sour candied hawthorn for their children after work. But why didn't my father take me along? Was it because I wasn't good enough? The next time father returned, I had learned to lift the corners of my mouth in a bright smile. I learned to open my eyes wide with sweet tears and ask him, my father, you don't seem happy today. Why? From then on, life for Nanny and me became much easier. Nanny said I was like a talking flower. She taught me grace, remember well. All men in this world are the same. We women can only live depending on them. To live well, you must know how to abandon self-respect and humble yourself. Whatever men want, we must give them. I took Nanny Quinn's words as my life's compass. I worked even harder to please father. When I was 7, I first met father's other daughter. She was the only princess of Avalon Empire, cherished in everyone's palms since childhood. She rode horses freely through the streets, fighting evil and helping people. Seeing her like that, I realized I was just an illegitimate child not worthy of being put on the scale. Mother wasn't even an official concubine. When father returned, I cried and asked him why he looked at me as if looking at someone else. I thought perhaps he was remembering my mother. He said and they were just pretending to associate. His heart only belonged to my mother. They were wolves and tigers who had separated him from mother. They forced him to marry properly, then forced mother to death. They were the most evil women in the world. I must regard them as enemies my whole life. I told Nanny about this. Rarely did she keep silent for a long time, then sighed Grace. There are some people and some things. If you can fight, then fight. If you can't fight, then let it go. Later, father brought me to Crown Prince William. My first contact with power made me realize that Evelyn Sterling's so-called reputation was just thanks to Emperor Marcus's favor. She could do whatever she wanted. So I had to cling tightly to Crown Prince William. I wanted to become Empress. I wanted to become the woman standing beside the most noble man in the world. But I overvalued myself. I was too eager to prove Crown Prince William's love for me in front of Evelyn. But she had never put me in her eyes. She mocked me, looked down on me, trampled me into the black mud. When I killed Crown Prince William with one sword, fresh blood stained my entire dress. She stood there with cold eyes looking at me, then said, killing people is very difficult, isn't it? Depending on men is even harder than killing people. I looked up at her and asked, you clearly could have killed him yourself. Why give this opportunity to me? She laughed mockingly, her voice full of contempt. His dirty blood isn't worthy of staining my hands. Only someone as dirty as you is worthy of doing this. Even revenge was her charity to me. I would never be able to match her. The next time I opened my eyes, I found I had been reborn, returning to the exact day father told me to seduce Crown Prince William. I immediately broke free from Crown Prince William's embrace and screamed loudly, help! Impropriety! Help! Then I rushed straight into Evelyn's arms, tears streaming. Sister, save me. Lesson from The Reborn Princess's Revenge. This story teaches us that blind ambition and dependency on others leads to destruction. Grace represents those who only know how to rely on men, while Evelyn demonstrates the power of self-reliance and independence. True power comes from knowledge, skills, and the ability to protect oneself, not from pleasing others. We should build our own worth instead of sacrificing dignity for love. The tale warns against placing your entire future in someone else's hands, as even the deepest promises can be broken when self-interest is at stake.